Hi everybody. I had gotten a question from someone regarding my last video about why I don't celebrate Christmas, and I talked about some of the pagan symbols and stuff, and why I don't think it's right that people are using those, even though they changed the name to, about Christ. And this person basically said, "Where's your facts?" Okay, and they said they weren't correct. And so I understand the importance of showing facts, right? I've written several hundred articles for county level newspaper and stuff, anywhere ranging from, possible tax evasion, big company, decent sized companies, within the county to, just, um, you know, fundraisers and stuff, right? So I understand the importance of credibility and citing, sources. And I also understand that, it's important that the person that presents the argument has facts to back it. And so I'm going to try to make this real quick here, and just kind of answer that person's question, and then maybe answer some other people's questions who maybe don't know about the pagan origins, or want me to actually say where I got my information, right, to prove whether or not it's even, whether I'm just blobbing words out of my mouth. One thing I will note, while you're watching this video, if you guys do have little kids or something listening, probably not a good idea. Okay, some of the pagan traditions and stuff that they did, and some of the symbols and stuff, not exactly kid appropriate. So I'm just going to give that warning. All right. So we'll go right in. First off, we have Yule, or Yuletide, which is spelled Y-U-L-E, tide. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, also I want to note, just real quick, I will have links. I'll basically have my outline of all my sources and stuff below this video, so you guys can look at it on your own, and actually see for yourself. So I'll try to make this video short. So the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of Yuletide, it says, in modern use, the word Yuletide is occasionally invoked as a synonym for Christmas. Yuletide is the much older of the two words. Its first half, Yule, derives from an Old English noun, yule. Both Yule and its etymological cousin from the Old Norse Yule, which is spelled J-O-L, referred to a midwinter pagan festival that took place in December. Okay, so immediately we have the question of why is Yule, because Yule is used at different times in Christmas songs and stuff like that. Why is Yule, obviously it refers to Old Norse pagan festival in December. Why is Yule used in Christmas? It's supposed to be a Christian holiday. So immediately we start having some questions, right? And so we go into it. Yule is a modern version of Old Norse that basically refers, actually, is the name of their, the Viking Old Norse god Oden, which was their primary god. And I'll also note while we're here that Oden is often depicted, he's riding through the sky on a chariot. He also has a white beard and is old, which is interesting that Santa Claus, matches that description. But we'll continue on. As we go through this, I want to note that I'm going to primarily focus on the pagan traditions of these holidays that very closely correlate to the different symbols and stuff that's used in modern Christmas, okay? I'm not going to speak of modern Christmas as much, but I'm going to focus on what was done during these pagan times, right? And then you guys can, as we go through, it'll be very clear how these symbols are still used today in Christmas, all right? Holly, which is a plant, was used as the masculine part of this is just a list of different things that were used during Yule, during this time period, the winter solstice time period, for the Old Norse tradition. Holly, which is a plant, was put in windows and things like that, and I believe it's still done today. And its prickliness was supposed to ward off evil spirits, all right? And the leaves represented the Holly King. That's not Holy King. This is two L's, Holly King, or the Oak King, okay? The god of the forest, basically. And this is taken from sacredearthjourneys.ca, just a website that's just talking about some different cultures and different traditions back in the ancient times. Mistletoe is used as the feminine part, okay? This is, again, according to sacredearthjourneys.ca. The green leaves were meant to represent the fertility of the mother goddess. The white berries were the seed of the forest god, or oak king. And the Dryads, right, would harvest the mistletoe with, I believe it was golden sides or something, and they would drop down. This is all Old Norse mythology, right? Things that people believed when they would practice this holiday of Yule during December. And they would, they would cut the mistletoe, it'd fall, the maidens would pick it up, and it was supposed to be, have their power of fertility. And it was also worn as a fertility amulet and hung above the headboard. So already we got some very kind of pagan, right? Some kind of weird stuff going on with mistletoe and that. The Yule tree, which very much resembles the modern Christmas tree, almost identical, is decorated with gifts that, or basically ornaments or symbols that the people wanted from the gods. So if they wanted a certain object, they would hang it on the tree. Again, sacredearthjourneys.ca. You can get that information there. They would hang pine cones, berries, and other fruits that symbolize the various gods and goddesses. This was basically, they were decorating it with all their gods and their pagan symbols. The Yule log, which this tradition of Christmas, I actually hadn't heard of anyone doing it. Apparently it is a Christmas tradition in certain parts of the country or other countries, but it has its origins from Yuletide, the Norse pagan holiday. The Yule log, which is basically lit, or was lit, around December 21st, and then was kept burning for 12 days. And it was this whole ritual of, they cut the certain tree and they put oils on it so it'll give a certain color fire, and the sparks were meant to basically symbolize that new birth of the livestock and stuff in the next year, and such. And Isaiah 44, 15, 20 actually talks of this tradition and shames it. And I can read that real quick here. I've got it here. So basically it says, sorry, 15. So it says, then it shall be for a man to burn, for he will take some of it, and, back up a little bit, talking about cutting of the tree, right? And then it says, then it shall be for a man to burn, for he will take some of it and warm himself. Yes, he kindles it and bakes bread. Indeed, he makes a god and worships it. He makes it a carven image and falls down to it. He burns half of it in the fire. With this half he eats meat, he roasts the roast, and is satisfied. He even warms himself and says, I am warm. I have seen the fire. And the rest of it he makes into a god, his carven image. He falls down before it and worships it, prays to it, and says, deliver me, for you are my God. Let's see, let's continue. They do not know nor understand, for he has shut their eyes so that they cannot see, and their hearts so that they cannot understand. And no one considers in his heart, nor is there knowledge nor understanding to say, I have burned half of it in the fire. Yes, I have also baked bread on its coals. I have roasted meat and eaten it. And shall I make the rest of it an abomination? Shall I fall down before a block of wood? He feeds on the ashes. A deceived heart has turned him aside, and he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, is there not a lie in my right hand? And then Isaiah goes on. But basically, again, this is part of Yule. This is the time of year, the winter solstice. It's happening, this kind of holiday years and years ago, before Christ was even born, was happening during this very week, okay, of the year. And they were burning the wood, etc. And this is actually, the burning of the Yule log is actually a Christmas tradition that people still do. I personally don't know anyone who does it, but this is still a part of the tradition as an outline. The elves were spirits meant to coax the sun, because that was the whole idea, was to coax the sun, to bring life, right? And the sun was supposed to have lived in the land of the elves, their sun god. This is according to history.com, all right? And so that's kind of where the elves, part of where the elves came from. We also, if you want to go into more, and again, I'll have all the links below, if you want to go into more detail about the Norse mythology of Yule, the holiday of Yule, there is a website called thepaganjourney.weebly.com. Be a little careful on that. Apparently it's a pagan website, but we're talking about pagans, right? And we're talking about how their traditions have somehow fallen into Christians, right? And what people do. So that kind of wraps up that. So, again, we have the mistletoe, we have the Christmas tree, the Yule tree, and then, Yule and the time of year and everything. It's very coincide to Yuletide, which is a pagan tradition. So again, there's facts that celebrating with the Christmas tree and the ornaments and the mistletoe and all this stuff, is very much correlated to the pagan traditions that were done during the exact same time of year. All right, so there is facts to back it. All right. The more important one, which I'm about to move on here, is Saturnalia. Okay, and Saturnalia was well, I can just read the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of it. Quote, the festival of Saturn in ancient Rome beginning on December 17th. All right, so we just passed it. This is the more, this holiday here, this pagan holiday, is more correlated to modern-day Christmas than even Yule was, although the Yule tree and the ornaments and all that coincide very closely with it, all right? So the festival was a week long. It began on December 17th and ended on December 25th, which, coincidentally enough, is the Roman, the god of light, Mithra, or Mithras. They set his birthday on December 25th. Remember, this is all stuff before Christ was even born, all right? So that leads to the question, why are we celebrating Christ's birth, the King of Peace, the Savior of the world, the Son of the Holy God, on the day, the only day out of all days of the year that the Romans celebrated their, and I quote, God of unconquerable Son, of the unconquerable Son, on the same day that they celebrated his birthday. Very interesting, right? And by the way, the fact that this is celebrated on that birthday, it's a history.com article. I have a link below. During this feast, Saturnalia, the Romans, all the businesses were closed, interesting enough, so that everyone could enjoy the festivities. It was a time of joy and etc. Here's where things get a little bit gross and carnal. Festivities included, these aren't so, but hanging of the wreaths and greenery on the hounds. Sounds interesting, familiar maybe? Playing music, feasting, socializing, running around the community singing naked carols, pagan carols that they would sing. Giving gifts was also a common practice. This is according to history.com article and historytoday.com. During this time, each of the major households, this specific part was more of a top level kind of more of the richer people. They would select an individual they'd call him the Lord of Misrule. And throughout the week, he was selected on the 17th, and throughout the week he could do absolutely anything that he wanted with anyone he wanted, okay? Let your imagination run on that one just a bit, okay? And you pretty well covered it, all right? Anything he wanted. Anything for his entertainment or the entertainment of others around. And then that person was then, and again, this is from history.com article, that person was then sacrificed on December 25th. And basically that was supposed to, washed away all the wicked things that they did throughout the week, all the carnal and just immorality that they did throughout the week. They would kill the guy. Some sources say that they would kill him with mistletoe because mistletoe is poisonous. It's not completely poisonous. So I'm not sure about that specific aspect, but they would kill him, and then basically that would wash of the sins of the week. And then as one article said, what happens in Saturnalia stays in Saturnalia, and they moved on with their lives. So again, some pretty wicked stuff going on here. Just carnal. I mean, absolute carnal, wicked immorality. Also, this is from a Time magazine article. The Romans during Saturnalia were known to eat human-shaped biscuits that we'll just say they had very detailed anatomy, okay? And that was supposed to help them in that activity, okay? I don't think I need to use words for that. I think that's pretty clear. Again, if you need the words, I'll have the link below. You can read it. So that covers a whole bunch right there, okay? As far as how Christmas or Yuletide or Saturnalia or whatever pagan winter solstice feast that represented exactly the same symbols as used today for Christmas, regarding how that translated into Christmas, what we call Christmas today, there's a couple of different opinions or sources and facts and stuff on it. Kind of the more prevailing, I believe, is either that the Catholic Church did it. That's debatable. Some historians debate that. More solid that I found is Constantine in about 336 AD was the first time that Christmas was celebrated, as everyone knows it today, on December 25th. And as you know, Constantine was pagan who transitioned to Christianity, and this was used as a way to kind of drag the pagans over to his side, although Constantine wasn't really Christian because he had a carved image of himself in the city that said that was the god. So even then, he wasn't Christian. All right, and again, that's that's the Briticana.com. So I'll have the link below. There is facts, guys. It's all out there. Like I said in the last video, if you look, the knowledge is actually right there. All the history is there. It's just you got to read it, right? And so I kind of helped a lot of you out that may not have known about this, okay? And I understand, right? I said in the last video, I understand if you didn't know about this, but now you do. And you see all these wicked things, right? I mean, you had the gingerbread men, which that's just disgusting, right? You had the Christmas tree, the Yule tree, with all these ornaments on it and the spheres and things. That's a pagan symbol. Let me ask you this real quick. Moses, he came down from the mount, right? And he sees a golden calf. I want you to imagine for a minute, obviously he was so angered by the golden calf and the wickedness of the people that he broke the tablets and had to go, and then he had to carve new ones, right? I want you to imagine, for instance, that golden calf is now sitting in your living room. Would you put the golden calf in your living room? Would you decorate it? Would it look better? No, you would walk by it and it would be disgusting to you, right? Because it's the sign of wickedness, right? The tree, the ornaments, the gingerbread men, all of it, all those things is a sign and is symbols of wickedness that these pagans did, right? Complete festivities of carnal acts. During this week, this is the week, guys. This is the week that they would do these things, okay? And that got translated down into Christmas today. Don't say it's the reason for the season, guys. It's not. Pick a different day to celebrate Christ's birth. And even if it is on December 25th, let's say that Christ actually was born on December 25th, why are you doing all these other pagan symbols like the tree? I'm going through it again. The tree, the gingerbread men, the ornaments, the presents, all this. Why are you doing that? There's no reason to. It's pagan. It's pagan. All right? Another thing, was Jesus really born on December 25th? Have you ever considered why people say that? Not everyone's in agreement on that, okay? The Bible is slightly not in agreement on that either. You have, I can read here, a couple things, right? First of all, the wise men, okay? Everyone says there's 3 wise men. Who says, though? Okay? It's not an important detail, but who says 3 wise men? There were 3 types of gifts. Nowhere in the Bible does it say there was 3 wise men, okay? So you have to start questioning, why are we using 3 wise men? It's not important, but in the grand scheme of all that we've talked about, it really makes you question, is Christmas Christian? Is it Christ? Okay? I don't believe it is, because it's pagan, okay? If you want to celebrate Christ's birth, like I said in the last video, if you want to celebrate Christ's birth, I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we should celebrate every day, right, and how we act and things. But if you're going to pick a day for it, don't pick December 25th. Pick a different day. Or if he was in fact born on December 25th, don't do all the pagan symbols. You call them carols. And again, I go back to, I understand if you didn't know this. I understand that. But now you do know this. Understand, Christmas carols. Why don't you just call them hymns? Well, because they have pagan origins. That's why we call them Christmas carols. Because they were originally called carols, right? You had people running around the city without clothes on, singing songs and pagan worship. All right, and now we've changed it. We say, okay, we're going to include Jesus in the songs and stuff. And now we don't sing, run around, right? But why are we calling them Christmas carols? If they're about Jesus, they're just hymns and songs. But we call them carols because it's associated with Christmas, which is associated with pagans. That's where the history is, guys. It is. Okay? Another thing, Christmas isn't the only holiday that these pagan things came from, all right? And I'm not going to go into that, okay, because we can talk about it some other time. I had actually originally did the first video just to kind of talk about why I don't celebrate, right? Because not everyone knows that. And also just because I think it's important that people hear the history, right? It's not important what you've made of it now. It's important what it actually represents, okay? Just because you call the Christmas tree the Trinity or something, or the ornaments something else, they're pagan, though. You can't change that. It really comes down to the question of why. Why do you use them? Are they going to kill you if you don't use them? If you do use them and you know that they're pagan, in the end day they are going to, okay? Because it's pagan. And God is a very jealous God, and our God does not take lightly the justification of wicked acts, okay? And that's what it is. We are literally celebrating by putting the Christmas tree, by putting the ornaments, by putting the presents under it. We are literally continuing the history of the wicked. We are doing more than they could have done then, because we're continuing their history. Why would we want to do that? I don't understand, all right? Another example, sorry, I'm going a little off track, regarding Jesus' birthday, okay? This is not super important. Some people it is, okay? I understand that, right? But so if we're going to look at when the birthday is, let's just not assume it's on December 25th. Let's actually look and see where it came from, all right? So you have a couple things, right? And I'm not going to go into super depth on this because, again, it's not super important when you look at the grand scheme of the tree and all the other pagan symbols that are used during Christmas time. But, for example, some Greek and Hebrew translations of the New Testament and the Gospels don't translate into the word manger. They translate into the word sukkah, which a sukkah in the Jewish holiday is during Sukkot. And what it is I've attended, me and my family were in Israel, attended several of these holidays. And what it is basically it's commemorating in Leviticus basically the exodus of Egypt. All right, and basically what they'll do is they'll eat all their meals. I believe it's all their meals during the week, the 7 days there, in a makeshift hut outside their house, okay? And that hut is called a sukkah. So, again, it's going to take some looking into, right, to figure out the actual date. But we already start to see, if the translations, in the Greek and the Hebrew, which is closer to the original, translate not into manger, but into sukkah, and a sukkah is only put up in Jewish history during Sukkot. Sukkot is in October, okay? So immediately, maybe Jesus wasn't even born in December, all right? And you also have the fact, why would the shepherds be keeping and living out in the fields with their flocks? I believe in the wintertime, you keep your flocks inside, okay? So a little confused on that one too. So again, questions. You have to question these things, all right? And this isn't the only holiday. Valentine's Day, and I'm not going to go into that, okay, because this is Christmas, and also my goal of this video was just someone had asked about facts, and I know maybe several of you are questioning me, right, and curious where I got the things I said, and so I'm not afraid to, present my proof, right? But just as an example, Valentine's Day, and this is a history.com article I'll link below. Valentine's Day is actually representations of a pagan holiday. It's called the Feast of Lupercalia, okay, and I believe it's Roman. And again, this is another very morbid kind of carnal act. They would paint numbers on women with wolf's blood, and then men drew a card known as a valentine, and then they would basically claim her for this duration of the celebration. I believe you know what I mean by that, and if you don't, then I have the article below you can read for yourself. Guys, Christmas is pagan, all right? Like I said in the last video, we can't change what was wrong into what's right. It makes you start questioning why, okay, let's say you know all this. Why is it important that you have a tree? Why is it important that you have the ornaments? Why is it important that you have the gifts? Why? They're pagan. They were originally pagan. Again, I asked the question, golden calf. Would you put a golden calf in your living room and then decorate it with ornaments and stuff and say, this is for Christ? No. So again, I understand some of you didn't know this. Okay, I understand that. But now you do know this. All right, and it's important. God is a jealous God. Okay, doesn't matter how much you say it's the reason for the season and we're celebrating Christ's birth. You're using pagan symbols to celebrate a holy God who has destroyed the pagans throughout the history of this world. Why? How? That can't be right. That's a slap in the face of God. Right? I mean, that's shaking hands and holding your fingers crossed behind your back. Okay, that's the same thing. Don't use pagan symbols to celebrate the Holy Almighty who can take our breath away in a second. Okay? Don't do it. And I just kind of close with one last verse here. It's Matthew 5:13-16, King James Version. Ye are the light of the earth, but if the salt hath lost his flavor, its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a basket, but a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Using pagan symbols, guys, to celebrate the birth of our Savior is not righteous in the eyes of God. All right, it's not. It is not. Because if it is, then everything in the Bible is a lie, and we know that's not true. Okay. It also comes back to solemnity, right? We should be, if you're going to celebrate Christ's birth, it should be in solemnity. Again, not using pagan symbols. I keep repeating myself, but it's important. This is the goal. This is the goal of the video, right? To show the facts, and I did. The history's there. The history is all over the internet. Okay. And there was quite a few things I read, right, that were pretty horrific that I didn't even include here because of, one, I didn't find a good source, right, or two, because it didn't focus on what we're talking about here in the important symbols that people use, okay, when it regards to Santa Claus and also some of the variations of that, right? So, in closing, guys, it's important to know why we do things, right? The Jews are reminded, their holidays, they're reminded of why they do them. Because that was the goal of the holidays, was God set forth those holidays so that they would always remember his deliverance from Egypt or the many other things he did. Christmas is not that. This was not a holiday given to the Christians, those who believe in Christ. This was not a holiday given to them by God. This was a pagan holiday that over the years has been altered slightly, still maintaining the same symbols, just changing the meaning so we can Christianize it. And again, like I said in the last video, Christ didn't come, he's Prince of Peace, but he came with a sword.